Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Paul, hopefully you're having an amazing day. In this video we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff for Nvidia's next generation graphics cards. I want to focus on some interesting updates regarding Blackwell's Titan GPUs. Recently I exclusively revealed that Nvidia are working on the Titan cards, and so I actually have some updates for you guys in regards to the memory configurations and some other bits and pieces. And I have to say that these cards sound absolutely ridiculous, assuming you've got the cash for them, of course. But we'll also be talking about Nvidia official comments regarding the sampling of Blackwell plus GDDR7 production and some other bits and pieces, right after this quick message from the sponsor of the video.
If you're running a copy of Windows 10 which isn't activated, of course, not only do you have to worry about the missing customization options, but there's also that annoying Windows desktop watermark reminding you to activate. Today's video is sponsored by WhoKeys.com, and they have an excellent price on Windows 10 Professional as well as home keys. Yeah, and they also of course sell games. I've bought a few Windows 10 keys with my own personal account to test everything was legit and worked in preparation for this sponsored video. You can pick up one of their keys for 25% off using the coupon code RGT in the checkout. There's links to their website in the video description. Also, if you're building a few systems, there's bundles available too. Again, you can check out WhoKeys.com and use the coupon code RGT for 25% off the listed Windows 10 key prices.
Okay, so real quick, SIGGRAPH 2024 is of course a thing right now, and this is obviously a really big event for the industry. And Jensen Huang, unsurprisingly, was making some comments. And one of the comments actually is essentially the Blackwell cards are going to start to be sent out to customers so they can start doing their testing. Basically, these are engineering samples. Unfortunately, it isn't clear whether these are gaming or whether these are, say, HPC AI variants. Now, if I had to take a guess, this is probably the AI versions, HPC, just because of one, the timing, and two, the wording of all of this. So I'm guessing that these are going to be data center variants. However, it's still a good thing in terms of, well, one, we're going to start theoretically seeing more leaks and perhaps other big things, start surfacing. And two, it's also a good sign just in general of the Blackwell architecture moving forward. It's going to be really cool actually to see actually what the performance leap is, generation over generation, at least on the AI side of things. At the moment, the AI market is kind of a bit weird. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of like OpenAI just essentially not making money, so it's going to be a curious time in the industry over the next year or two, and that's putting things mildly. However, IT Home have also a report that the higher-end RTX 40 series cards are going to essentially start to be wound down in their production capacity by around 50%. Now, unfortunately, I have to use Google Translate here, and you can see a screenshot of the report, but basically this is in preparation for RTX 50 to start entering the supply chain. Now, RTX 50, the rumor is that it's either going to be Q4 or Q1 for these cards to start releasing. That would be, of course, the 5080 and the 5090. I'm still hearing mixed information of which date is true. Most of my sources are telling me it's Q1 2025, but again, it becomes very difficult because it's like, are we talking about the announcement or is it the release date? Is it one specific SKU? Is it going to be a hard launch? Is it going to be a soft launch? These are all things that, honestly, I don't have 100% answers for. If I had to guess, I'm going to assume it's going to be next year the announcement takes place and the release of the cards. But again, that is still a guess because my sources are telling me one thing and other sources are telling me another thing. It's also worth noting that while this report is saying that the production is going to start to wind down because of RTX 50, there are also some other reports that basically some of this is due to memory capacity, basically memory production. So that is also worth noting as well. Speaking of memory, SK Hynix are commencing next generation mass production in the third quarter of this year. So again, that's 2024. The first modules are going to be 32 Gbps. Of course, in the future, they will most likely go much faster than that, but still, the other really big headline here is that the thermal resistance is going to be reduced by up to 74%, which is certainly a very good thing. Obviously, faster memory is going to be very important because if you're increasing the amount of compute, then you also need to, well, feed the beast. You can do a bunch of stuff to improve efficiency on the architecture itself, of course, and you can have a better caching system, but ultimately, well, if you have, like, let's say 16 or 24 or whatever gigabytes of memory on the card, it's a little bit larger in capacity than, let's say, 128 megabytes of L2 cache or what have you. So now let's move on to Titan. So around a week or so ago, I did put out an update regarding some various stuff in graphics, including the fact that Nvidia were working on a Titan variant. As I'm sure most of you are aware at this point, GB202 will be powering cards like the RTX 5090, but the rumour is that it's only going to be utilising a 448-bit bus. I've heard some information that we're looking at around 160 or so SM, but from all of the sources that I've spoken to so far, the exact configuration is not confirmed at this point. In fact, Nvidia are also testing out different configurations in terms of TDP as well. So again, you can check out the previous video if you want more information regarding that. I don't want to tread over old ground too much here. What is new, however, is that I've now heard from yet another source regarding the Titan information. Now, Coppertite7Kimmy on Twitter did confirm my information that there is actually a Titan being worked on. However, I now have a little bit more information. So, allegedly, Titan is not going to launch around the first wave of cards. I'm sure many of you probably guessed that anyway, because Nvidia tends to, well, let's just say they like to stagger the launches a little bit. And also, of course, there are other reasons behind that, not least of which that they can utilize those precious GB202 dies, which, of course, make the cut, if you excuse the pun, for other things like AI, cards and so on. However, anyway, getting to the actual point, I'm told that there are 2 Titan variants that are possibly being considered, and maybe one or both will launch. Now, the first is going to essentially offer the full accompaniment of bus, so that's 512-bit, and there will also be potentially another one, which is going to be a clamshell design. I'll leave it to your imaginations on how much memory that could possibly have. Obviously, it also is going to depend on the capacity of the modules itself. And do note that, of course, at this point, the exact configuration is not confirmed yet, because ultimately these are plans and they can certainly change, not least of which some to do with, well, just market situation in general. Like if the AI bubble completely and utterly bursts, I'm sure that could change things a little bit, and maybe Nvidia would want to change their marketing strategy a smidgen. Now, I have also previously reported, and there have been other rumours online, that a 5090 Ti is going to exist. Now, if you think about it from a logical perspective, if there is a 448-bit bus variant of the 5090, which is currently the first card, of course, that, you could consider the flagship, I would not be surprised at all if Nvidia did release a 5090 Ti that would have, like, let's say, some extra SMs enabled, and maybe it would still have the same 448-bit bus. Maybe they would just crank the memory faster or something like that, or maybe it would just have more additional L2 cache, or maybe a combination of both. Again, this is still not 100% clear at this point. It's going to be very interesting, though, to see how all of this starts to unfold, as I'm sure everyone at this point, and their mother, I mean, hell, if you go back like 300 years, you could probably ask someone, on the streets of London, be like, "Oi, mate, what's the memory configuration of the RTX 5090?" You'll be like, "Oh, I think it's 448-bit, isn't it, governor?" Probably. Anyway, my point is that most folks know that RDNA 4, of course, is not going to be competing against high-end RTX 50 cards. But, as I've stated in a more recent video for RDNA 5, RDNA 5 is not really designed, ironically, to compete with Blackwell. It's actually going to be competing against RUBIN, which probably is going to be RTX 60. So it's kind of an interesting one, honestly, because both of these companies are basically playing a game of one-upmanship. RTX 50 was originally designed to compete with the MCM variants of RDNA 4, but obviously they got canned, as I discussed in a previous video. Oh, actually, one more tidbit, and this is going to be the last little thing for the video. In regards to RUBIN, I am being told that the high-end gaming variants, and that's a key thing to distinguish, of course, they allegedly will actually be MCM. So, in theory, RTX 60 is going to be the first MCM variant from Nvidia. I am, however, told that the design, let's just say it's going to be very different from what AMD are doing. At this point, they are still, well, quite a while away from launch, obviously. I mean, RTX 50 is not exactly out yet, is it? So, obviously, the stuff can change, but at least current plans are that RTX 60 is going to be MCM. I think that's just about it, though, for this video. Hopefully, you have enjoyed it. Also, I'd like to give everyone a massive thanks, actually, for supporting the new channel, which is Muscle Foundry. The subs have gone up and getting some really positive comments on feedback. I'm hearing you guys for some suggestions for future videos and stuff like that. So I will be, of course, working on that. In fact, I've got another script that's essentially written right now. And it's going to be some really cool stuff on RGT as well. There's a couple of very cool projects that I'm working on. I'm just waiting, actually, at this point. It's like 3 projects I'm literally waiting for a part to arrive for. I'm just like, anytime now. Come on. Come on, delivery company. So yeah, it's kind of frustrating, but it's going to be some really cool stuff anyway. But once again, thanks everyone who has subbed to the channel, or at least given it a watch. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.